everybody, this is Steve, the Wellness Warrior, and today on our talk, we're going to talk about supplements. So what I would really like to do is this first one. I want to talk just generally about supplements and a couple supplements that are super important. If you have questions about other supplements, I'm not going to tack them on to this week. I am going to do supplements part 2 next week, and I'll answer all those things about specific supplements next week. So if you want to tune in then as a follow-up, send me an email to ask me what supplements you really are concerned about and which ones you should take. There's a lot of garbage out there, and if you're going to take a supplement might as well take a supplement that's actually going to work. All righty, so switch to my presentation here. Do this. All right, here we go. Show. All right. All right, here we go. So this, I entitled these programs, Keep It Simple with Coach Steve. So I'm going to try to, today, I'm going to talk about supplements. I'm going to try to keep that simple so you understand what supplements are all about, what makes a good supplement, what makes a bad supplement, where you can find good supplements, and understand a little bit about the labeling system about supplements, because it's very, very confusing. So like I said, I'm the Wellness Warrior. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach, and I help people with their metabolic problems and to get them on a better lifestyle for living into the future, happy and healthy. All right, so first of all, the fine print. I am a level 2 health coach and a board certified health coach. None of the information here is a substitute for medical advice, either by your doctor or healthcare professional. If you want to learn more about these things, I do discovery calls for consults for health coaching, and we can talk about that and see where you are. But again, this is not a substitute for medical advice. This is for educational, informational, and coaching purposes only. All right, so what am I now? I am a health coach. I am a race director for the Steel City Showdown in Pittsburgh. I'm a level 2 health coach, and really my practice is about getting people to a healthy and happier place in their lives. So whatever's going on with them, to help them get to the place they really want to be. I like to relate health and wellness and longevity as kind of getting your health span equal to your lifespan. So what does that mean? That means you have a certain life that you're going to be, let's say it's 120 years, and you want your health span where you're healthy and active to be as close to 120 or however long your life is. Maybe you're going to live to 80. So let's try to get your health span as close to 80 as possible. And this is, I really don't like pictures of myself, but this is actually one of my favorite pictures. I ran an obstacle course race, and I went into the race fasted, probably about an 18-hour fast before maybe a 19-hour fast before I got here. And this is me at the end, and I am still smiling, which is awesome. I felt really good that day, which is kind of amazing. I just took a little bit of salt with me on the race course and finished the race. Not the fastest I've ever done, but I just had a good time, which was awesome. All right. So what's the deal with supplements? So what I'm going to talk about in this presentation in no particular order is why do we need supplements? What are supplements? How are supplements different? Which should you really be taking and why? And are they actually helpful? And trying to answer any other questions that you have. So if you do have questions, drop them in the chat box. I'll do my best as we go on to answer those. And again, I'll do a follow-up next week about any specific questions on specific supplements or in the next show if you're watching the replay. All righty. So what are supplements? This is from the National Institute of Health. So supplement is a product that's intended to supplement the diet. The dietary supplement contains one or more dietary ingredients. They're listed there and their components. It is intended to be taken by mouth as a pill, capsule, tablet, liquid, and is identified on the front label of the product as being a dietary supplement. In 1994, they were considered food and not a drug under the FDA guidelines. So they have really a very, very loose system of evaluating these things. So that's why you really got to be careful when you buy supplements. So there's basically three categories. There's nutrients, there's botanicals, and there's hormones. So nutrients are basically your vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants. Those are the things that are developed, used to develop tissue, to develop hormones, neurotransmitters, help your brain function, immune function, enzymatic function in your body. Botanicals, on the other hand, are actually therapeutic plant extracts. So they're not otherwise intended for food, and they include like whole plant extracts, specific phytochemical extracts, like garlic can be considered a botanical, which helps your immune function and cardiovascular system. Berberine is another extract from plants that has been shown to help lower triglycerides, be an antimicrobial, and lower blood sugar. And then there's also mushroom extracts. And these are just a few of the botanicals. There's 5 bajillion of them. So not really one in particular, but they may also be involved in immune function, anti-cancer properties, just to name a few of the reasons why people take mushroom extracts. So hormones are another class. So they can be bioidentical hormones to what you do have, and they can be extracted from plants, from animals, so on and so forth. So there's a lot that fall into the supplement category. They're very, very loosely regulated, as food is. So you just got to be a little bit careful. So why do we need supplements? There's a lot of different reasons. First of all, a lot of our food is processed and very nutrient poor. If you've seen products that are fortified, you said fortified with vitamin D or vitamin K or calcium. The reason why they need to fortify them is because through the processing of those particular products, all the nutrients get stripped out of them, and they need to put stuff back into it to make it better or good for you, so to speak. Industrial farming techniques also kill a lot of the microbiota in the soil, and they strip the nutrients from the land, and fertilizers are used, and the chemicals will deplete the soil. So plants need to get their nutrients from somewhere. Obviously, that has to be the soil because they cannot absorb all of the things from the air. So if our soil is poor, then whatever makes up the plant is going to be poor. If there's not things in the soil for them to absorb, then the plant will not have it contained in the plant. And as it says in the next line, over the last 50 years, our vegetables and fruit have lost 50% of their nutrients because our soil is so poor. So, why do you need supplements? Because we're not getting all the nutrition that we used to get 50 years ago from our food. So a lot of people get nutrient deficient, even if they're eating, food, because it just doesn't have what it used to have. Our food travels a long distance as well, for the most part, or a lot of our foods. So during that process, things start to degrade, and that's another reason why our food is not as nutrient rich as well. People tend to drink a lot of alcohol. They tend to eat a lot of processed food. People smoke too much. All those things help strip nutrients from your body as it tries to absorb some of these things. And we really have evolved to eat a wide variety of foods. All right. There are, 400,000 plants on the planet. 220,000 of them are edible, but only 20 of them make up 90% of an American's diet. So evolutionarily speaking, when we were hunters and gatherers, we would eat a lot more plants than 20, but now we've really narrowed things down to these 20 types of plants that we use to make most of our products. And I personally know some people in my own family that eat mostly processed things. And if you're eating processed things, pretty much the only plants you're getting, if you're not actually eating plants, is wheat and corn, which are very, very heavily subsidized, heavily stripped of their nutrients. All right, so here's some more reasons. So through these processed foods, we end up not getting the nutrients that we need for enzymatic functions in our body. All right. The recommended daily intake of vitamins is basically there to keep you alive. So if you're getting 100% of the recommended allowance of vitamin A, that'll help prevent diseases that have been caused by vitamin A deficiency. All right. So this is all research that has been done. I have the resources in another location, but these are some general numbers. So 68% of people are not getting enough magnesium, 40% are not getting enough zinc, 78% are not getting enough folate, 90% are not getting enough omega-3. And I just took a test today to see how my omega-3s are. So we'll see how that turns out in a few weeks. 41% are not getting enough vitamin D. Now that's totally seasonal dependent, especially if you live in the, above, 30, what is it, like 35 degrees north and 35 degrees south latitude. This is a staggering number. I don't even know how to say this number. Let's say it's 37 billion chemical reactions take place in your body every second, and they need a proper amount of nutrients. So everyone is different. So our body has the ability to make some of these vitamins in particular, but there's very complex mechanisms that happen to make your body, force your body to make some of these nutrients. A lot of these nutrients are also modified in your gut. So if your gut microbiome is deficient, then that could also sabotage how your body is able to create specific vitamins and hormones and enzymes that are in your body. So, all right, moving on. How people buy certain supplements. So this is what goes on in most people's minds when they're buying supplements. Does the product packaging look pretty? I know that's kind of silly to say, but some people just look at the packaging. If it looks really technical and fancy, they'll be like, "Oh wow, that in their mind, it might even be subconscious, might say, "Oh, this supplement must be really good because it's got a fancy label." I have one sitting right here. It looks like it has a fancy name, so maybe somebody might think, "Oh, that's got a really technical, fancy name, so that one must be good." The next one is misinformation, promising miraculous results. I don't know how many times I've heard this, but you think something's too good to be true. It probably is, especially when it comes to supplements, just because there is really no guidelines given by anybody for supplements. You're basically allowed to slap whatever claim you want to make on a supplement bottle or an infomercial. And it doesn't necessarily have to be backed up by any research. Nobody's going after anybody that is trying to sell supplements that have glorious results, or they say they have glorious results. Some people just go on price. I know, I think it's Medicare or Medicaid will actually, in your health plan that you have, will give you an allowance for a certain amount of supplements. So I don't know if it's to help the supplement companies or whatever, but a lot of the supplements that you find generally in the store do not have good ingredients. And a lot of people misinterpret supplements for drugs. So people think they're regulated, that if it says, there's 2 micrograms of zinc in this product. Well, generally speaking, most of the supplements that are sold in most of the big box stores are not third-party tested. And I'll get into labeling in a little bit. So there's no real, checks and balances to make sure there's 2 micrograms of zinc in a particular supplement. So there's also no regulations as far as impurities as well. So a lot of these supplements will actually have impurities in them. And I think I get to that the next slide. So most mass-marketed supplements are very poorly absorbed into your body. So for instance, like magnesium comes in, 10 different forms. So you can get magnesium oxide, you can get magnesium citrate, you can get magnesium malate, thiatate. There's several other ones. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But not all of those give you all the magnesium that it claims. Some of it's a lot easier to be absorbed, and some of it is more absorbed by your body. The dosage on the bottle may not match up with what's actually in the pill. So again, it goes back to the third-party testing and how they're created. Many of them have additives, fillers, colors, and allergens in them. So you got to be really careful with those as well. The raw materials, especially in herbs, may not be tested for toxins such as heavy metals. So they could be coming from an area where the soil has like arsenic or lead or whatever in the soil, and the plants are going to absorb those. And if that's part of the herb that they use for this product, then those heavy metals will be translated into that. And the factory may not just follow good manufacturing standards. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So some ways that on how supplements actually work in your body. So some of them make your cells more sensitive to insulin and more effective in metabolizing sugars and fats. Some of them can slow the absorption of sugars and fats into the bloodstream. They can lead to faster metabolism, balance your sugar, improve your cholesterol, help decrease your inflammation. Maybe it helps you crave less. Maybe it'll help you lose weight, or maybe it'll actually help improve your energy amount. All right. And this totally depends on your deficiencies and the conditions that you have. So it's very individualized. For the most part, trying to get exactly what you need is sometimes a real tricky thing. They also help enzymatic activities and improve immune system activity. So some really good baseline supplements to take is a high quality multivitamin. Our food is really so deficient now that just using a high quality multivitamin is probably just good for everybody to use. D3, especially in the northern and the southern part of the world, as you get less and less tropic, we have less vitamin D, although if you live in a sunny place, you can get all your vitamin D for that. So there's a couple tests that you can do to see what your vitamin D level is, and then see if your vitamin D is actually converted into vitamin D that you can actually use. Magnesium is another one. Most people are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium citrate and glycinate are two types of magnesium that are actually absorbed better than some of the other ones. There are some that are a little bit better, but these are the ones that you can find a little more easily. Some of the other ones are a little bit more difficult to find without really stretching and trying to find those. And then just a general probiotic is often good to use. Not necessarily every day. What I usually do with probiotics is take them, a group of them, maybe for a week out of a month or 2 weeks out of every 2 months. So just to repopulate that microflora in your intestines. All right. Moving on. So a multivitamin, first of all. So you want to find a high quality one that's very potent. Bioavailability is super important. A broad spectrum multivitamin and mineral is usually pretty good. These are a couple things to look for, and we'll go over labeling a little bit more later, but some that have no fillers and are not GMO are good things to look for in a multivitamin. Here's the natural vitamin D pathway. So this is how your body makes vitamin D. So you get the solar radiation, all right? In your liver, the 25-OHD vitamin D, and vitamin D is actually a hormone and it's not really a vitamin. And then in your kidney, it gets converted to 125-OH vitamin D. Now that is the actual active form of vitamin D. A lot of doctors will only give you the 25-OHD test. So if you really want to find out, how your vitamin D is, if you have enough vitamin D and the right kind and your body's processing it correctly, the 125-OH vitamin D is the test that you also need to get. So the 25-OHD will tell you that you have vitamin D in your system, but the 125-OH vitamin D will actually give you how much active vitamin D you have in your system. So it's a little more technical than some of the doctors might portray that to be. All right, omega-3 is the next one. Omega-3 is really good to help reduce inflammation. You can pretty much go on a walk anytime and see people that have inflammation. It's very easy to see once you kind of know what the symptoms are. But for omega-3, generally that's from fish oil, fish liver oil. All right. This one is really important to be third-party checked for heavy metals, especially to make sure that they're using ocean fish that do not have high concentrations of, mercury, lead, and some of the other heavy metals that we've put in our oceans. To make sure that these companies are actually trying to get those particular heavy metals out of their products so they're better, so that they're more useful for you, and they don't give you more toxins while you're trying to reduce your inflammation. So some other things that omega-3 does is improve your insulin sensitivity. It can help lower your cholesterol and triglycerides and help raise your HDL. It can help prevent blood clots, lower your risk of heart attacks. It can improve your nerve function and may help even prevent nerve damage, common in diabetes. So omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory and omega-6 is an inflammatory. So you do need a little bit of omega-6 because if you get a cut or you get injured, you have to have some inflammation there to help the repair. But a 1-to-3 or to a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is, satisfactory. But in a standard American diet, a lot of people that just eat a lot of processed foods tend to be 30-to-1. And, we've seen some people almost reach 40-to-1 with inflammatories compared to anti-inflammatories. So it's a very slippery slope if you eat a lot of processed foods. All right, magnesium's the next one. So magnesium, what did I remember hearing? That it helps with 400 different processes in the human body. So omega-3 is kind of a big deal. It helps increase your insulin levels and helps with diabetes. Diarrhea is also associated with having too much magnesium. So if you are getting too much magnesium, you'll definitely feel it, and bad things will happen. But some people are also so deficient that they need a magnesium IV. A little bit about magnesium. So what can magnesium do? Help with insomnia. It can combat asthma, decrease your high blood pressure because it's actually a relaxation mineral. So your veins and arteries are actually made out of muscle, smooth muscle. So it helps relax them so the blood can flow through easier. Support your bone mineral density. So there's a lot of minerals that go into making strong bones, not just calcium. In fact, calcium is just one of very many that help, develop bone mineral density. Magnesium can help improve the digestion and decrease the risk of diabetes. So it does do a lot of stuff. So these are some of the labels that you may find on some products. The one really to look for is the CGMP, which is Current Good Manufacturing Practices. So there's a bunch of different things that go into that. It even goes down to, how do they treat the people that work there? What kind of raw materials are they using to make their supplements? So it really gets into the nitty-gritty on how they make it. So seeing CGMP on a product label is really a really good sign that they've done their homework on those things. The fair trade, these are all the different fair trade symbols that you might see. So these are treating the people that are growing the things or making the things that are needed for these supplements to treat those people fairly. Organic is another one. Non-GMO project is another one. I'm sure you've seen that one. And a lot of people are gluten sensitive. In my mind, about 99% of us are gluten sensitive. A lot of people debate that, but try going off gluten for a couple weeks and see how you feel, and then you'll see if you're gluten sensitive or not. All right, so what does CGMP mean? So this is the people, places, processes, and products. All right, ensures that the location where the product is are stored is clean. Ensure that employees are trained on proper cleanliness and safety processes. Ensure that there are consistent operations to provide authenticity and safety. And ensure that the products are checked throughout the manufacturing, storage, and delivery for authenticity, safety, and accuracy. And this is information right off of the CGMP webpage, where they make these, standards of practice. So what should you look for in a good supplement? First of all, look for a capsule and not a nugget. So basically, if your supplement is super hard, especially for like multivitamins and stuff, and you would have to use a hammer to break it apart, it may not be absorbed into your system appropriately. I remember reading a study about GNC, their men's mega vitamin. Some of the pills that are in that men's mega vitamin came out the same, almost the same way that they went in. So it was a nugget when they swallowed it, and it was a nugget when it came out. So obviously you're spending a lot of money for supplements that are just traveling through your system and not being of use of anything. Mass marketed in big box stores may be misleading. Those supplements may not have the CGMP mark on it, so it's always good to check those out. Any of those things that the symbols that they don't have cheapens the product, so they can make it for less money or make more money off of you by not having these things. Sometimes organic is a better sign. Look for third-party certification programs to ensure that and validate the product's quality. That's not always on everything, but there's some things that you can do to make sure that things are legit. So what's my regimen? So my regimen changes every now and then. I do take a general multivitamin that's in capsule form. So basically, capsule is you can pull it apart and spill out all the ingredients out. So think about that rather than nuggets you would need a hammer for. Nitric oxide I also take, which helps open up your circulatory system. You do get nitric oxide if you breathe through your nose a lot too, but I like to keep those, keep that blood flowing as easily as I can. So I take this nitric oxide supplement. Vitamin D, vitamin K. Vitamin K assists vitamin D in its job, so it's always good to take those together. You can make some vitamin K in the intestines. A lot of things are manufactured in your intestines, so if you have good gut health, sometimes that will help in that vitamin K production, and it just makes for a more efficient system. Omega-3, for me, I do not take a vitamin or an omega-3 supplement. I just have sardines 3 times a week with the bones. A lot of people can't stomach that. I also put about 10 spices on each of my little can of sardines for phytochemicals too, or phytonutrients. So those are also helpful. So I really get a lot of antioxidants when I have my sardines. NAC is for mitochondrial health and energy. This is the direct base of the energy that your mitochondria need to make energy. So in order to make ATP, they need NAD. NAD is a product that is formed in your cell by NAC, N-acetylcholine. I'm sorry, N-acetylcysteine, not N-acetylcholine, N-acetylcysteine. Spices are in my regimen almost every day. In my coffee, I put a chai spice blend, which has about 6 or 7 different spices in it. And again, those are for antioxidants, polyphenols, just to help with your antioxidant system. Glutamine is actually, have you ever heard of the konjac fruit, which is a tuber? Japanese use it a lot to make noodles, which don't have any calories, but it's also good for grabbing onto waste cholesterol that gets dumped into your intestines after it's used. Now, your body is an amazing system, so if you don't have anything to catch that cholesterol in your system, and if you process it relatively poorly, then your body is very efficient in reabsorbing that cholesterol back into your system. So that glucomannan will bind to some of that cholesterol and help send it out the back end. And then magnesium citrate or glycinate. Right now I'm taking citrate. So that's my regimen. And a few other things that I throw in that aren't actually vitamins and minerals. I'm actually taking berberine as well, which is that helps control your blood glucose and cholesterol as well. So that's my regimen. Oh, I forgot. That's only half my regimen. So what is it? Almost 2,500 years ago, Socrates came along and said, let medicine be thy food and food be thy medicine. So, I'm going for that most of the time. But we need to start thinking about food as information as well, because the food gives your body the information to do what it needs to do day in and day out. All right, so thinking about it in a different context, at least for me, it helps me think about, okay, I'm eating this, for a reason. I'm trying to nourish my body. So for instance, in my coffee, I put this 10 mushroom extract that has beta-glucans in it. And those, are adaptogens that can help a whole bunch of different things in your system. Ashwagandha helps with depression and anxiety. Not that I have depression and anxiety, but it just helps keep you relaxed throughout the day. I also put collagen in my coffee. So again, this is food as medicine. That is to help all my connective tissue. It helps hair, skin, tendons, ligaments, all those things that connect things together. Water. And, I put water in there because water you can think of as a nutrient because you really can't live without it. It is good to have some water, like right off the bat in the morning, because if you think about it, I'm going to have a sip of water right now. If you sleep 6 to 10 hours, that's 6 to 10 hours where you're breathing out water through your exhalation and not replacing any. So naturally, you're a little bit dehydrated in the morning. So it's always good to take a 8-ounce shot of water every morning just to start the hydration process. Now, I also put apple cider vinegar in my water, and that just helps to reset the acidic balance of your body. And when I say that, even apple cider vinegar is less acidic than what's in your stomach. So, people think about eating these basic foods, that are not acidic. Everything that you eat turns to pH about 2 in your stomach. So it doesn't matter if it's acid or basic or whatever. When it gets down your stomach, it's going to be pH 2. And then once it enters that first part of your intestines, that's when it becomes, your body pulls in calcium carbonate to balance that acid out. And so it can travel through the rest of your system. So it's important to really think about food a little bit differently, as far as, acidity and basicness of your food. And then, like I said, I put a spice blend in there to get my polyphenols and antioxidants. I wanted to briefly go through this next part just because, and this is only a very short list of some very common medications that are used and the drugs that are the nutrients that they deplete. So acetaminophen, hydrocodone, Vicodin, that depletes glutathione in your system. Glutathione is a very powerful antioxidant in your system, and your body generates that. But when you take these medications, that could really deplete that glutathione that's in your system. Lipitor and these statins will deplete your CoQ10, which is also a powerful antioxidant. And it's one of those things that really help your heart. Somebody mentioned to me today that they take gabapentin. When I had surgery, they did give me gabapentin, and that depletes your folic acid. So folic acid is involved in a bunch of different processes in the body. So, it's good to supplement with folic acid if you're on this gabapentin. If you're on insulin injections, that'll deplete your magnesium. If you're on an ACE inhibitor, a lot of those deplete your zinc, which is very important in a lot of enzymes. Metformin in that group of medications will help deplete B12 and folic acid. Prilosec and these PPIs deplete magnesium, B12, and calcium. And then this other group of statins, like Crestor, deplete your CoQ10, which is actually the same ones up here. So I know that's a lot of information. Those are a lot of medicines that are out there, and these are just the ones that they know of and how they deplete them. That's not, other things that might also be depleted. So should I stop my meds? Not a good idea. But as with all my presentations, I want you to be more informed so you can have an intelligent conversation with your doctor. All right. If you go in there and saying, well, I'm taking this and it's depleting, this particular mineral, and your doctor doesn't really have any idea what you're talking about, and you do have some idea, if they are really concerned about you and your practice, they will find out that information and get back to you. I mean, honestly, you would hope that they have your best interest in mind. All right. If you don't feel comfortable with their answers, there's plenty of other doctors out there that you can switch to. So again, don't stop your medication. I would never tell anybody to do that. That's a personal choice, and that is something that you and your doctor decide. But it's also all my presentations are so you can have a more intelligent conversation with your doctor, so you're just not letting them lead you blind about some of these things. And they may not know, All right. So there's one company out there called FullScript. FullScript actually vets all their supplements that come in. So in order for this company to accept the supplement, so you can buy the supplement from FullScript, they have to fill out paperwork, saying that they've taken care of certain things. I don't know what the certain things are. I'd have to probably do a little more research myself to see what they look for, but one of those things is good manufacturing practices. All right, if you want more information about that, please get a hold of me. All right, and like I said before, I'm the Wellness Warrior at wellnesswarrior.coach. I do have a full script account, so if you want to talk to me about any of those things, I'd be more than happy to help you with that. I'm also working on a blood chemistry certification, so I can interpret clients' blood work a little bit better. And again, I can't tell you to stop or start a medication, but I can inform you, so you know what your test results say, so you can have an intelligent conversation with your doctor about your results. All right, and that's the end of supplement show number 1. If you have any questions or you want me to talk about any supplements next week, I will dive into that. You can just drop me an email at steve@wellnesswarrior.coach.